Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. On this episode, we have a spoiler-free review of Marvel's What If series, and our topic this week is a villain team-up battle royale, where we each form our own villain mashups and decide who would ultimately save the world. And then at the end of the show, we will be discussing James Gunn's Suicide Squad in full splendor. So let's get on with the show. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today are my fellow hosts, Amanda Sink.
Hello, hello.
John Davenport.
Yo.
And Troy Heinrichs.
What if I was John?
Are we going in alphabetical order now?
No,
you
I
messed me up.
screwed it up. I actually have it that John, Amanda, Troy, and I just went the wrong way. So it is what it is.
It's all right. It's because I'm the favorite.
No, that's definitely not it. It's definitely because I said it wrong. I mean, yes. Yes. That's what I meant.
Next week, I'm going to go first.
Exactly. Next week, I'm just going to change it up every week. It'll be somebody different so everybody feels equally loved.
Next week, I'll be number 2.
You were number 2 this week.
I'm number 2 all the time.
Oh, my God.
No,
Jesus.
you're number 1 in our hearts.
Listen, Eeyore, I don't have time for this. Right? I just don't have time. There's so many things to talk about. We're not doing a news roundup like we've done in the past. We're actually just going to focus on 3 specific movie and TV topics just to make it easy. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're going to start with this $900 million Trey Parker, Matt Stone deal regarding South Park and Viacom, which will confirm South Park runs until season 30 in 2027. Or is it season 20?
It's season
30. Jeez.
30.
You read that number right.
I was really hoping I was wrong, but whatever. As well as produce 14 movies for Paramount Plus based off the series. That's a lot of South Park. You
That's
bastards.
a lot. How do they have that much South Park left in them?
Go ask Matt Groening, and you can ask how much Simpsons does he have left in him. It's easy TV to make.
I think $900 million makes me more interested in my property if I own that property.
All right, I guess I can't really argue $900 million. I think I can do a lot of things for $900 million, I guess.
All you have to do is change the background. You just change the background because they say, oh my God, he killed Kenny, like every episode. So it's already recorded. You don't even have to do all the voiceover work. It's all
I think they
pre-done.
stopped doing that like 6 seasons ago, didn't they?
We don't watch it.
Oh, so this is just an all-around uninformed conversation.
Yeah, are you informed?
I watched some of them.
Okay, so is it still good?
Well, is Grey's Anatomy? I feel like this is the same level conversation. However,
Was that just an excuse to bring Grey's Anatomy into the conversation?
No, I'm just saying there are 2 shows that deserve to die is one word. I was going to say cease to exist or get their proper send-off. And just for some reason...
Are you trying to trigger somebody or something?
They
I don't know what's going on
away.
right
I was
now.
triggered the minute you said Gray. I didn't shame to finish Anatomy. I was already like shaking in my chair.
Yeah, it'll do that to you. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of South Park takes off of current events and societal issues. And so as people and society changes and new problems come about and new things to make fun of come about, South Park has endless content to pull from. It's just like SNL in my mind.
Really? Well, I mean, I would argue, does SNL have endless content? I mean,
Well, I mean, that's the fair point, too. Should SNL have maybe stopped at some point, too?
Yes.
Maybe.
yeah.
But
Roughly when all they did was political humor, and it's the same basically joke every single week.
Yeah.
That's about that time. Are any of these movies going to be basketball? That's an important question.
No.
Because I want a sequel to that.
Every single one of these movies are going to be South Park
It's
movies.
insane to me. I don't understand. It's so much South Park. I don't get it. How many songs can they make about banging your uncle? I don't understand.
The one where they went and fought Canada and the devil, I thought that one was hysterical. So
That's
if they
the
can...
only movie they've had, Troy.
See, I don't know, because I stopped watching it. Apparently when they stopped killing Kenny, because when they were killing Kenny, it was fun.
That's what you were there for? The you kill
I'm
Kenny.
here for them killing that little bastard.
Exactly right.
I'm all for little kid death. Wait, what, Troy? Nothing. I just
I
don't
know he's a kid. He wears a hood the whole time. He could be like a grown adult with a full beard underneath there.
Honestly, in full
That's a
disclosure,
weird way to
it
take
feels like every South Park character is simultaneously a child and a very mature 30-year-old who sits in their parents' basement drinking beers all day long.
Like,
I think you just described Trey Parker and Matt Stone to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had
guess
an
that's
epiphany.
true.
What if this is like an Inside Out type of show and we've actually been watching 30-year-olds the whole time and it's their inner voices as characters?
Oh my gosh, Troy.
What's the
You
over
broke
under
it.
that they have a beer bong in their office?
It's a bong, but not a beer bong.
Yeah, it's a different kind.
That's why it's set in Colorado. Got it.
Yeah, it's maybe a gravity bong.
I don't know what that is.
So gravity bong, Aaron.
I don't need
how
weed
it works.
information. but-
It wasn't an invite to explain.
yeah, I don't
Hey,
need to know.
somebody listening is probably curious what a gravity bong
Let's
is
go.
now.
What's a gravity bong? Come on.
All right. Gravity bong that I've seen, a friend of mine took about 3 feet of PVC tubing.
friend of mine. Sorry, go ahead.
I never did it.
No,
but
of course not.
it's about 3 feet of PVC tubing, and and then there's another set of tubing that goes inside of that and the larger 3 feet has water in it. You fill up your bowl,
Oh my God.
set fire to the weed, the inside of the 3 feet piece.
Okay.
You raise that so it sucks all the smoke into the 3 feet that was just emptied. Then to inhale it all, you put your mouth over where the bowl was and you press down and all that weed smoke goes directly into your lungs.
I feel like because Oregon just passed some law where you don't have to pass reading and math to graduate high school, I feel like these are connected things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like these two things come together in some way.
What, me explaining it in Oregon, passing like reading and
No, whoever created that and the same thing, I think those things go together. That's what I'm saying.
I also think they're the treatments for the first 2 movies for South Park.
Yeah, there you go. Gravity Bong, the movie. Woohoo. Exciting stuff.
Oh, that's kind of a fun title.
Jesus. All right. Anyway, moving on. So next up, if you're enjoying that sweet deal where Warner Bros. Movie releases on HBO Max are the very same day as they release to theaters, that sweetness is officially over at the end of this year, so you better just soak it up. AMC Theaters has officially entered an agreement with Warner Bros. For a 45-day exclusivity window for 2022, which is shortened from 60. We've been saying for a long time that studios are losing money on blockbusters by doing it the way that they were doing it, but they had to do it because COVID made it necessary to some degree. So now they're going back to the old ways of just shortening the exclusivity window. If you don't know what that means it has to be in theaters for 45 days before it can stream or go on home video or you can buy it. And you're still going to get some HBO Max exclusive movies as well. Troy, what say you to that? Do you care about this at all?
I mean, I love that the 45-day window is present because it definitely makes it better from what it used to be. Sometimes it was 90 days before this stuff would actually show up at home.
Back in the day?
I still say
Maybe it was
45
90
days
before,
seems a little long. I think 30 days would have been the sweet spot because after 4 weeks, I'm not going to see a movie in the theater because I'm seeing something else in the theater that already just came out. So, I mean, if it is what it is, we'll take it at this point because we definitely need to make sure that these things make money so that we can get more movies made. So I'm happy with the 45-day window. I just wish it was 30.
Yeah, I agree on all of that. Like the 45-day window is fine. It being 30 would be better for every reason what Troy said. At the same time, I'm going to miss a lot of these day and date releases because that's the only way I've been able to enjoy some stuff where I am in the mountains. But it's still kind of cool. I'm happy that something's coming.
I don't know that I'm I'm obviously excited for it to end and to change from the day and date so that way theaters can go back to having their success, which then in turn makes the films more successful. But there's a small part of me that's a little bit sad that if I really like a movie and I see it in theaters and I want to go rewatch it again, I can just rewatch it at home versus having to go back to the theater. That's one perk that I will say is really nice, where you can go experience it in the theater, but then you're like, man, that was so much. I want to relive it again right away, or I want to give it another go maybe. You can do it at the leisure of your home. That's where I think the at home has a benefit.
This Green Knight was so awesome. I'm going to watch it right away again.
Don't do that to yourself.
That wasn't Warner Brothers. So, but I get what you're saying with that because I've done that too, where it made me feel more comfortable. This whole deal with HBO Max made me more comfortable to go to the bathroom if I needed to, because I knew I could come home and watch the spot that I missed. I've done that with every single Warner Brothers movie. I'm like, I can go pee, get a refill. I don't care anymore. It's not like, because I'll just run home and see what I missed. Not a big deal. That said, I'm not going to get the same kind of movies that I get in a theater if they keep doing it the way they're doing it. So I get it, and I'm fine with it. It is what it is. And I'm a big fan of theaters, obviously.
What'd be really interesting to see is if the HBO Max exclusive movies, if they were to do so well on the streaming service, would they actually move them to a theater for a short run theatrical run after the fact?
What do you mean? Like, how do you mean?
Like say we have Raising with Wolves, the movie, right? And it's like this amazing, lots of subscribers come in and it's really good. Would there be a thing where the audience would say, like, I'd really like to see that on the big screen? Would they actually go ahead and say 30 days later after it's been on HBO Max, go the other way and put that in the theater to see what the theater going experience would be like for those people that didn't subscribe to HBO Max?
Are there really that many that do it, though? I feel like HBO, that's definitely a Disney thing, a Disney Plus thing. But I don't really know that HBO Max has been doing direct to streaming and streaming only. If they're going to put it on the streaming platform, they're also going to put it in theaters. But if they do have, I mean, this is just a personal thing.
Well, next year they're going to.
Yeah, that's true. A personal thing for me, and this is kind of sidetracking to your concept or your question, Troy, but I would love for very short series that you could binge in a day to be released in theaters, or do like a 2-day event for some of these really awesome HBO shows. Like, imagine if you could have seen the ending to Game of Thrones in a theater. Stuff like that would be really, really cool. Or Westworld. I mean, I don't know that I'd want to do Westworld in the theater in 2 days. It might be overload, but those really beautiful shows that cinematically take your breath away, which usually comes down to HBO.
And could they use that as collateral? So maybe you do get a chance to say, like, hey, we'll give you the entire season of Westworld so you can do like a whole 2-day binge or whatever if we can keep this one particular movie out of the theaters and keep it on HBO Max. I wonder if that's an interesting tactic of what they could do for the future.
I don't think anything on HBO Max people would want to watch in a theater. I think if it's on streaming, they just want to watch it on streaming for the most part. That's what I would say. I just don't know if anybody would want to do that.
I think
that's really a tough call, because I can see it for maybe a special event, but if it became more commonplace, it would get old really fast and people wouldn't be taking advantage of it as much as you'd think.
It's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people that love this model because they can, watch new releases in their pajamas and they can keep up with, comments and from the comfort of their own home. And they can be like, I know all the spoilers at midnight. Ha 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 ha. And they won't have that right now, which, hey, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. But it's not conducive to the theatrical business model, which I'm a big proponent of. So I'm all good. Where's that one guy that quit our show because I like theater so much? Did he ever come back?
Well, if he quit and you're still talking about theaters, probably not.
Yep. I'm hoping.
Which one of you is it? Raise your hand.
I'm hoping he came back for this podcast just so I can say, ha! And then just move on from there. All right. That's all I got to say. So lastly, the National Association for Theater Owners, yes, unfortunately acronymed NATO, will not oppose or object to vaccine mandates to attend a movie, with NATO president saying, quote unquote, in order for the exhibition industry to fully recover, we need more people to be vaccinated. It's pure science. I don't want to get into that science debate. I just want to know how you guys feel about the idea of having a vaccine mandate to see a movie. And I realize this is a triggering topic for many people. Skip ahead if you don't like it, but I think it's an important thing to discuss because it's possible that we're heading that way. Amanda?
Oh, sure. If I can jump in first, I'm happy to. I have mixed feelings on this. I think most people would probably assume, because of how much of a proponent I am of like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's be progressive. I'm also not a fan of entirely mandating it for everything. I mean, in some circumstances, if you're at a public entity or at a school or whatever, they've been doing mandatory vaccines forever. Well, not forever, but for a very long time. So there's nothing really new to that. But when you start to make it where you can't go anywhere unless you have your vaccination, it removes that choice for someone of their body. Now, I understand that their choice in their body makes, could impact other people. But I think we have to also remember from the business perspective, what a very sticky situation this puts them into. Because even for employers who are asking their staff about it, they have to be very, very careful from employment lawyers. I was just dealing with this topic recently, where you have to keep all of that information confidential. You have to be really careful about what questions you ask if someone's vaccinated. So having a business require you to have that just to enter and enjoy anything. I mean, if that catches on, then hypothetically, someone might not be able to go to the grocery store. Someone might not be able to go to the gas station. And that starts to limit people in terms of they need those things. And so, I don't know. It's very complicated. And I think should be, my opinion is that I'm all for a big push for vaccinations, but I don't know how I feel about making it mandatory.
I got to show proof of age to be able to go into a strip club. I don't know why. I don't know why, somebody having to show proof of a vaccination is such a big deal. But that's not something you can control. It's not something you're doing to yourself. You've reached that age and you can make that choice at that age. When we're talking about something that you're doing to your own body, I believe you should still have that ability, that freedom to make the choice for yourself and not be penalized for it.
So maybe not strip club age, but what about no shirt, no shoes, no service? That would be more equivalent. If I want to come in without a t-shirt on and bare feet.
Well, then what are they going to do for people who can't be vaccinated? Are they going to have to bring in their medical records and say, I can't get the vaccination per my doctor? Like it just gets so messy and complicated to introduce that as a mandatory entrance to be able to come in. And you're asking people to disclose that to random strangers at the box office. I don't know how I feel about that. That starts to, if I have cancer and I'm recovering and I'm wearing a wig, I'm wearing the wig because I don't want everyone to know that I have cancer. And now I have to go out here and tell this random stranger, I can't get the vaccination. Here's my proof of information from my doctor so I can go see a movie. Those are the kinds of things that I think we should still keep in our minds versus, yes, we know it's easy to just get the vaccination and deal with it and show the credential and say, all right, you're good and you're done. But what about the people who don't have that?
I think everything Amanda's saying is right, because there's a level of everybody's like, oh, HIPAA, PII, GDPR, and all this information that's out there about us as humans. And I think that this is a very slippery slope to get into that conversation of banning people because of medical conditions, especially because there's a group of people that can't get the vaccine. Now, at the same time, I don't know, it's hard because what they're trying to do is protect humanity so that humanity doesn't die. Tennessee this week was just listed as having their entire children's hospital segment in the entire state is going to be completely full in the next 2 weeks because the people under 12 that can't get the vaccine shot. The purpose is stay home. You don't have a vaccine. There is a global pandemic. You should not be out in the first place. So I think we need to stress more about the fact that if you're not vaccinated, you stay home versus in order to go out, prove that you're vaccinated. And then if people choose to go out when they shouldn't, that's on them. They're going to get sick. They're going to most likely die. And that's because they made a poor choice. But their choice is still their choice. And I think we need to make sure we let choice be, because that's what makes us human. And it also is what we fought for the country, is to have the freedom to make a choice.
John, I feel like you got cut off with a stripper comment. You got more to add on that?
You know what? Let's talk about something more fun and exciting.
No, I'm not done. I haven't even talked yet. I totally agree. I think once you have the case of it can be dictated what entertainment you partake in because you don't have a vaccine. I just feel like that is a slippery slope, because now you're opening the door to all kinds of things, all kinds of other kinds of discrimination under the guise of public health, under the guise of in the best interest of citizens. I just feel like that's a really dangerous thing. And no, I don't equate it to the same thing about as a guy can't make a cake because he doesn't, he's not comfortable making a cake for a gay couple or something like that. I mean, this is a different kind of issue, but it's still an issue. And I think once you open that door, it's hard to make other arguments about my body, my choice in certain respects, because you've already said, hey, we can dictate this. You can, I don't like it. I don't like it as much as I am for the vaccines. If anybody's curious or if you care, yeah, go out and get it. I mean, it's going to be FDA approved soon, so you won't have that argument anymore. And then you do what you got to do. Like we never talk about this stuff on the show. This is a rarity, but I firmly believe that it should be everyone's right to make their decision of what they put in or not in their body. Now, it is the business's choice to decide, hey, this is crushing our business. The pandemic has been crushing our business. We have to take this step in order to protect ourselves. I also believe it's your business. You make that choice, I guess. I just don't think it's a good choice for the country. And, some people, I think if it's healthcare, I understand a mandate. Military, I understand it's a government mandate. There's lots of healthcare issues that are regulated in the military. Don't tell me they're not, because I was there, and trust me, they shot me with stuff that I don't think is okay.
And clearly has affected his mental capacity to this day.
Far more experimental than what we got going on here, let me tell you, because there's some things there that really, really I'm still mad about, and it's been a long time. So that to me is a non-starter. It's just not a conversation point. This is very dicey. Not to mention, think of the position you're putting a 16-year-old kid in that has no idea how to handle someone that's obviously going to blow up on them because they don't think it's right. They're going to be shouting whatever they're going to shout right in this kid's face. It's not this kid's fault. And say what you will, mostly they're teenagers across the country that work in movie theaters.
They will take it out on them.
Yes. Those are absolutely the people that are going to be abused and tortured and called names and everything else that comes along. And it's nothing to do with them. It's not their fault. And I want to add, what's the difference? Because they did say, if you're under 12, it's fine. Okay. That's still unvaccinated people. So we're okay with the little kids dying, but if you're an adult, then we're going to force More spreading it. I mean, if you really look at the stats, kids are not predominantly dying, but they are passing sickness.
And they have long-term health complications.
Yep.
I mean, and we're not doctors. I'm not doing medical advice here. I'm just saying, like,
we need Stan, the doctor Stan.
We need a standardization of the way this is handled across the entire country is what we need. And I think the way that Lollapalooza handled it, I think was probably the best example. And even, Aaron's going on vacation and he has this same exact situation where, yes, bring your vaccine card. If you're vaccinated, show your card, you get in. But you could also show a negative COVID test within a certain period of time and also get in.
Well, who's going to do that for every time you want to go to dinner or go to a movie, man? Like, hang on, let me go get this thing shoved up my nose so I can go see Transformers 15, which is probably going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not ideal, but at the same time, at least it still gives me the ability to have a choice over my body, whether I want to have the vaccine or not. Mm-hmm. I mean, and even when we had even just a small group of friends, like we had I think it was a Halloween party at the height of the start of the dark winter. Like we all agreed, like, hey, there's going to be 15. Yeah, the 15 of us, we're going to get together for a party. Like you have to show up with a negative COVID test in order to get in the door. And because we appreciate each other, we all agreed to do it. And I think if more people would put other people first, then we would be able to do things like, just go get a swab. It takes like 2 seconds. You get the results in 20 minutes, and then you can go have a gnarly ass weekend,
Yeah, gnarly man, bro.
Shame on you,
John. I need the gnarly bro thing from you.
No,
I don't. I don't know if that would work. I think that's really cumbersome because I'm telling you, I'm doing it just for a cruise, and it's a pain in the ass. Just to make that appointment and have to. I don't want that every time I have to go to a movie, and I don't like that either. I just really feel like you're not a doctor. I love the people that work at the theater. None of them are doctors. I don't want them dictating when it's okay for me. Now, if somebody comes in and they're obviously coughing, I think you should be able to say, okay, well, you seem unhealthy. We have to, for the protection of our customers or our patrons, we can't allow, okay, if you got somebody...
that's sticky situation,
it is
too.
Like, everything here is sticky, but I don't like this idea. It's just a slippery slope. Once you start opening that door, man, it's Pandora's box, and it's going to be everywhere. Everywhere.
Honestly, if we're at the point where
we have to go to the park and have a COVID test, I don't think so.
where we can't control the virus enough and we don't have enough people vaccinated to keep it under control, then why are these businesses even open? Because they're just going to piss off their customers. Like, theaters are just going to piss off a lot of people who spend a lot of money to go see them, even on just the pure principle. Like, I know people who are vaccinated, but if they had a business that said you have to be vaccinated and show proof of your vaccination just to come eat dinner or see a movie, they would say, no, screw you. Like, I'm not going to go there then. And it starts
one of the things you're forgetting is that they're not really talking about this across the United States entirely. They're talking about it specifically, like in New York, there's going to be rules set up where you can't go to public places like movie theater, or publicly enclosed places with like movie theaters and restaurants, unless you have proof of vaccination. And California is talking about doing the same thing. So it's not really an across the board thing. So you're going to have plenty of states where they don't give a shit.
He introduced
like
it to where he wouldn't be against it if theater owners wanted to do that, though. That's why the question.
And if it starts in one, it'll start to trickle to others. Like, it was originally just New York. Now it's trickling to LA, and then how long until it trickles to Austin and then Chicago and everywhere else? I mean, it's just a matter of how far is too far, and balancing keeping people alive with there is so much ability for anybody to get a shot if they're over the age of 12 that is their choice.
Now you're getting into medical advice. We don't do that.
No, I'm just saying the vaccination is there for people who are choosing to get vaccinated. And if they're over the age of 12 and they don't do that and they get sick, that is a choice that they have actively made as an adult. And so businesses, we wouldn't ever say we want a business to, if somebody said, oh, you got to have a birth control shot to come in, or birth control to come in this club, I'd be like, what? No.
I wish they would have had that when I was young.
I know, right?
Yeah, right. I'd be going to that club all the time.
That would be my favorite club ever.
And if you had birth control, you wouldn't be getting into Hobby Lobby ever again.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my
Screw
God.
Hobby Lobby. Anyway, I think we've had enough of those conversations.
The biggest thing is, like, exactly what you said, Amanda. It's the fact that if they choose not to get a vaccine, but I chose to get a vaccine, so therefore I'm fine if I sit next to an unvaccinated person. But I think the thing is that if we are still in a global pandemic, we still know that there's variants are out there. All I want is that damn seat between me and the other person back.
Yes. Yes. That's where the real advocacy should begin.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm good with that. That's what they should do. Instead of requiring vaccination, just give me the
Just
seat.
stagger the seats, go back to wearing masks in the theaters, and then everybody can enjoy the movie.
Troy, you can join government anytime. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
This is good legislation.
So long as that extra seat is open.
Man, that's very important.
As long as I got a spacer, I'm good.
Very important. All right, let's go on. Let's move on to our spoiler-free reviews. First up is, and actually only up, Disney's Marvel's What If. It's like a couple things.
What If flips the script on the MCU, reimagining famous events from the films in unexpected ways. Marvel Studios' first animated series focuses on different heroes from the MCU, featuring a voice cast that includes a host of stars who reprise their roles. It's directed by Brian Andrews with AC Bradley as the head writer, and What If launches exclusively on Disney Plus on August 11th, which should be the day that this podcast hits your feed. So, Amanda, you were the lucky one that got early access to see a few of these episodes. So, what are your first impressions of this first animated outing from Marvel?
Let's first clarify. I didn't get lucky. I busted my little white booty to try to get in with the Disney, and Mickey Mouse has granted me. It was exactly what I anticipated it to be. If you know anything about the comics, it is so endless in terms of the possibilities that you can create. And there's 60 or something variations of stories that they developed in this comic series. And so it's all about, in this particularly in this TV show, it's all about taking the MCU films with those characters. They're even mirrored off the visual likeness of the actors who played them. Most of the actors who play those characters voice them here in the show. And it's like saying, all right, if this one thing happened differently, what would the rest of that situation look like for the next 30 minutes or so. And I like that they're short episodes. I like that it's visually a lot of fun. And I really enjoy how creative they got with it, because they didn't just pull straight from the comics, because they obviously created their own storylines in the MCU. They used those films, grabbing onto audiences who are already, connected to the characters, connected to the stories that happen. And if you're not an animated fan, you can connect back to those moments, which is great.
So would you rather have seen this as done as a live action, or does the animation actually work, given the fact that these are technically already quote unquote animated by being in the comic books originally?
I mean, I personally am always going to prefer live action. That's just what I enjoy more so. But they do a really great job with the animation style. There would be so much money and time spent if they had to recreate those sets for each of these scenarios, because again, this is an anthology series, so they don't all connect to each other. So different people, different times, different things, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. So I think this is the right choice of platform for them to not spend $8 trillion recreating the scenes we had, unless they had done them at that time, and then play them for us.
Most of the voice cast is back, or the actors are back now voicing these characters. Who isn't back? Who would be the most startling if someone were to watch this and go, ooh, that's not Iron Man or Captain America? Who fit that boat?
The fun thing about this is you're not going to be entirely distracted by voices that are absent, because most of the voices are still there. You still have Haley Atwell. You still have Chadwick Boseman has his own episode in episode 2, so you're not missing that. Sebastian Stan. We get some Stanley Tucci in here. Michael Rooker.
What?
But yeah, it's fun. And Jeffrey Wright is kind of your narrator. He's the one who's called the Watcher, guiding you through this event. And he's the guy from Westworld, Bernard. So he has a fantastic voice to take you on this journey. You'll notice that Captain America is not voiced by Chris Evans. I think that's the most prominent one. And I think that's all due to contracting issues of the timing of when his contract expired and when they started recording all of this. So, but the voices of those characters who don't have a reprising actor are still not distracting. They do a good job of having a likeness to those actors while not being the exact actor.
So is this a standalone project for Disney Plus, or do you think this is tied into the whole future multiverse concept that's coming here in phase 4?
Honestly, they could intertwine maybe some of the future ideas of a multiverse, or maybe take some of the segments based on reaction. But because these are taking a lot of the moments that have already happened, it would be a lot of maybe like flashbacks, like, oh, we're going through the time. And I'll give the first example of the first episode where Captain America gets his little energy and he becomes Captain America, or Steve Rogers becomes Captain America. Instead, it's Peggy Carter. And that's the shift. And so what happens to those characters? What happens to their dynamic? How is Peggy treated as a woman in the 40s or whenever, when, that's the really cool stuff that they're going for. I think this is where they're one of the few things that will premiere on Disney Plus that is not going to be interconnected to the films. They always have the possibility to, because of the multiverse that they're building very clearly between WandaVision, and then we also had the Doctor Strange movie that's coming up, and we had the Loki show. So the possibility exists, but I don't know that they're going to go with it.
All right, well, if $10 is full price of admission for the episodes you've seen, what are you giving What If?
Yeah, and just to clarify, so the reviews that they sent to critics were episodes 1 through 3, and I gave that $7. And it premieres again on Disney Plus August 11th.
Nice. Hey, and if you want to support us instead of Disney, because they got enough money, go to patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsider. That's patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsider. There is right now, there's Bad Movie Night with Point Break. That was hilarious. We have the extended version of our Hollywood Outsider reunion episode from last week. So it's basically like 3 hours long. It's a lot more hysterics are in that one. You can do whatever you want. There's a lot of bonus content. Just go to patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsider if you want to support us. And now we're going to our battle royale. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Hollywood Outsider Movie Battle Royale. That is where we take 8 films, 2 favorites from each of our hosts, and we determine which one is the ultimate greatest film in the entire whole universe. It is definitely a lot of fun, and it is time to get to it. Let's decide what is the greatest film of its genre. It's time for the Movie Battle Royale. So this is a Battle Royale. We haven't done one in a little bit, but the same rules as any other Battle Royale apply, except we don't have 8 properties. We have 4. We each have 1. And I'm going to explain how it works in a second, okay? Because each person gets to pick a team. Their best team, their own quote-unquote Suicide Squad, if you will, except it isn't just DC. It's any villain in film or television. So here are the rules so everybody understands them. Your team should consist of any 4 villain characters. Only 4. They must be villains from either a movie or a TV show. They're charged with saving the world from Thanos. So we're going to use Thanos because everybody knows that villain and his abilities well. So they need to be the 4 that you believe could actually do that. Now, what's most important is obviously Thanos can't be one of your villains. You have to explain how each of them is valuable to the mission. It's essentially your own Suicide Squad, so please put a lot of thought into it. Here we go. And we're going to do Ho Suicide Squad and Ho Thunderbolts. So Ho Suicide Squad is Amanda versus me, and Thunderbolts is John versus Troy. And then once we get the winner from those 2 face-offs, we will be going to the ultimate Battle Royale and find out who the best villain team actually is in the whole universe. You guys ready?
Yes.
Ready, Freddy.
Okay, Amanda, you can go first. Who is your villain team?
Okay, so it should come as no surprise who at least one of my villains on this team is, and that is Scarlet Witch.
Now hold right there. Hold right there. I feel like it's important to take a team because we all knew this was coming, right? Like nobody's surprised.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not at all. Not at all.
Do we still count her as a villain?
Have you seen WandaVision?
Hang on.
She's not the villain in that. Agatha's the villain.
She's the villain of her own story. And she's also the concern beyond Agnes to everybody else on the planet because of her capabilities. And that's who they're trying to stop.
She's the hero of the story.
She is not a hero.
I wouldn't agree with that either. I mean, she's basically holding people captive against their will and torturing them essentially. So there's a villain argument.
She's not aware of what she's doing. So as soon as she realizes what she is doing, she stops.
That doesn't make her any less a villain prior to that. I'm sorry, Trey, go ahead.
Yeah, she is the protagonist to the antagonist, but she has villainistic qualities in the first half of the show. So I think it would count for this.
Okay. I'll side with Troy. So go ahead.
Thank you. So
because sometimes the villain is a protagonist, right? We do that other show that I can't say anymore on this show because Amanda banned me from saying it. So.
Is this a Lost reference?
No, it's the other one.
Oh, okay. The one that you have decorated on your entire bedroom. Yeah.
Yes.
So Scarlet Witch is a character that is capable of pretty much anything. And if you are familiar with the comics, you know that she is the most capable individual to take down Thanos because of her ability to modify and use and do anything with chaos magic. She can change events. She literally wiped out mutants. She has the capability to do pretty much anything if she's determined enough. And so she's the first on the team. She's the one who's really going to lead the charge because Thanos probably slapped her man and now she's pissed. Then we have Dr. Manhattan. I'm a fan of his character because although
we know why.
Well, the big blue, who is not a fan of that? Anyhow, he is a character that is so focused on the mission and he'll do anything to complete that. This is starting to sound so sexual. I'm trying to avoid this. But he also has...
How could you at this point?
Just go with it. It makes the story so much better.
He also has an incredible level of powers attached to him.
Sure he does.
Swings to the left.
Because of his immortal abilities, he doesn't need to sleep. He doesn't need food. He doesn't need water. He needs nothing but himself. And he can...
And he can make several of himself at one time.
He can. Yes, he can. He can.
I'm going to have an orgy of me.
He's capable of levitation, so he can always get up and around Thanos. He can teleport himself so he can escape or help another one of the teammates. He is incredibly receptive to events unfolding in the past, the present, and the future. And
yeah, he is.
Oh my gosh!
Now you're trying too hard.
He is essentially a god in the fullest definition of omnipotence and omniscience and all of those great things. And so he is a huge critical piece. I give up. Dr. Manhattan, okay? I can't even get through
godlike,
this.
huge, omnipotent power. That's what she said. Amanda Sink, everybody. There you go.
He does an amazing helicopter.
You know, as a woman, it is really entertaining to see that happen in real time. Anyway, so my next one is Voldemort. Who do you know that is more evil, more ugly, and more determined than Voldemort? As long as Hermione doesn't really get in his way. He can accomplish his mission. He has magic that he can use to destroy. I don't think that Thanos could punch his way to Voldemort before Voldemort would get a wand out and just swoop him away. He could cast him to another dimension because in this existence there is the multiverse, and so he could cast him to another area. He could do whatever he needed to destroy him and turn him into crumbles of dust. I also feel like Voldemort could easily sway Thanos to his side into understanding his side of things and why he would be up against Thanos, I don't really know. But that's why Voldemort's on the team. And my final member of the team, and please don't laugh at me, is Deadpool. Deadpool,
what?
Yes. Okay. So physically, I don't think that Deadpool is really a match to Thanos. But Deadpool is such a charismatic and he's a charismatic individual, but he also has the ability to persuade people to do whatever he wants. And so I think his ability to get inside Thanos' mind and turn him against what he believes in. He did this in the comics for reference.
Comics don't count.
I know. I'm just saying for reference, Deadpool did do this.
Doesn't
There's
matter.
There's a whole series dedicated to it.
In the movies and TV. That's why Dr. Doom isn't awesome, because he sucked in the movies.
I'm just saying, I know it's possible.
Second movie, he did actually convince Thanos to come to his side. So
the Deadpool movie?
Yeah, the Deadpool 2.
I don't remember this.
Was that Brolin? Yeah.
Brolin's not Thanos.
He still counts by association.
Technically. Okay. His character is not. Stop it, Troy. You're messing me up.
I love it, though. Thank you for that plug.
Thank you for being wrong.
Deadpool is a character that if anybody could convince someone that they are wrong about what they believe in, it's going to be Deadpool. And I think that's where he really comes in. He starts to mock, he starts to mimic, and then he somehow persuades them into going against everything they thought they knew. And so that's my team.
Okay. Well, you'll be happy to know that one of your team members made my team.
It better be Scarlet Witch.
It is not.
You're wrong.
Because I think it's very debatable if she's a villain. But anyway, I will meet your Dr. McHatton and throw in my...
McHatton?
McHatton? Yeah, whatever. Throw in my Dr. Manhattan. And, for all the things, you already said pretty much everything that covers the bases. But let's put it this way. His dong alone, I think, could take out Thanos. If he clipped him at the right angle. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
Just
swung it around a little bit, made himself whatever size he needed to be, and just, there you go.
Just do a little back and forth, like a...
There you go. Just like a pendulum. A pendulum hanging over Thanos. I'm going to go get the glove. No, you're not. Boom, boom, boom. So there you go. And they kind of cancel each other out. Now, my Manhattan and your Manhattan, but whatever. My number 2 member of my team is General Zod from Man of Steel. He's basically as powerful as Superman, but with a harsher dad tone. So there, He has all the power Superman has because he's from the same stinking planet. He's got military experience, so he knows how to optimize resources and how to plan, how to strategize. He is an all-around badass weapon that is meant to bring down Thanos or anything else, really. And he almost brought Superman down. Of course, we'll have to surgically repair his neck, but that's beside the point. Number 3, Sauron. Dude can summon an entire army at will, unleashes hell on Earth. He's got the know-how to create a ring that does all this magical thing and pisses everybody off. As long as he remembers to take out the little people first, he's solid. And come on, that was funny. I thought that was funny. Well, piss on all of you. All right, number 4, my last member. I see your Scarlet Witch, and I smack her down with the best thinker of my bunch. That's Palpatine. He's a guy who knows how to play the long game. He's very intelligent. He's very focused on the objective. He's planning, he's strategizing, he's politicizing, he's doing all those things. Not to mention, he's the strongest Jedi around for eons. So that's my team. Dr. Manhattan, General Zod, Sauron, and Palpatine. Now,
clarify, Senator or Emperor. Those are 2 different people. Because there's also Ray Palpatine now.
Okay. You know who I'm talking about. Palpatine, badass wizard. All right. So now we have those 2 teams. So really, here's a trick. It's tough. We're going to have to vote between those 2 teams. And you can't just pick yours because you think yours is the best, man, because you love Scarlet Witch. You got to pick the best
It's
team.
not about just loving Scarlet Witch. It's about the capabilities of Scarlet Witch.
But you got to go by only what has been on screen, not what you know from the comic books. She hasn't done a ton of stuff in the movies yet.
Well, but in WandaVision, she
wiped her out
has.
the first time, so.
Thanos did beat her once already. I'm just saying. Anyway, so here is the team. Amanda, write off your 4 members real quick.
Scarlet Witch, Dr. Manhattan, Voldemort, and Deadpool.
Versus Dr. Manhattan, General Zod, Sauron, and Palpatine. John.
These are very, very close, but I have to give the edge to Aaron because not a single one of his choices were Deadpool. And
wow!
It'll be funny.
And really, when it comes to like heavy hitter versus heavy hitter, Deadpool's not a heavy hitter. And as soon as he starts mouthing off to any of Aaron's choices, he would be atomized. So that's why I'm going to go with Aaron's team.
Troy?
Well, it's clear Aaron's the winner because Scarlet Witch is barely a villain. Deadpool is not a villain. He's like the star of the show, and he's fighting all the bad guys. So I don't think Deadpool counts as a villain personally. Doesn't matter. Some people that are good people kill people. It happens sometimes. But from a movie perspective, he's not the villain. So you got 2 down right there. And yeah, everything that Aaron had in his list is definitely the baddest of the badasses. So easily enough. Plus, the both of you, I'm very disappointed in, by the way, because you each talked about their individual qualities. It's supposed to be a team. You never said how they're going to work together to beat them. So you're both disqualified.
Did too.
Barely,
she took my Dr. Manhattan theory, but yeah, they're going to work to a team.
You barely combined your stories. I'm disappointed.
I did too. I said what things they were going to do in the team. Everybody has to take a task.
Independently.
All of them
everyone has their own task, and then Scarlet Witch is the leader.
Yes, and then they work together to bring them down. It doesn't matter. I won, so we're just going to go past anything I have to
say. Whatever.
So my team moves on. Don't hold it against me.
If Deadpool doesn't count, can I offer an alternative?
Nope.
So rude.
Nope.
You can't lose and then be like, let me change.
Well, no, I'm just saying if that's the reason I'm losing is because he is disqualified, then I need to know that so then I can offer an alternative.
No, because John and I did not voice that complaint, so we're good. We're moving on.
Whatever.
He can be seen as a villain. I can see it. Sure. All right.
You're only saying that because you won.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now ho Thunderbolts.
That's how winning works.
That's how winning works. You just accept it and you move on. Ho Thunderbolts. This is bolts. Jesus, Aaron. This is John versus Troy. John, who is your team?
All right, so I got a pretty impressive team, I believe, and I have a lot of faith in this team. I think they can be pulling off a lot of things. Some of these names you've heard before. Let me start off with the leader of my team, Emperor Palpatine. So that I don't have to sit there and deal with who, what, where, which Palpatine. It's the Emperor, who knows how to play the long game, who can con anyone he wants to con. And not only that, but he can kick the crap out of just about anybody, with the exception of a father who can't kill his son. That's besides the point. And even then, he lived, sort of, technically. So you got Emperor Palpatine. He's the leader of my group. My tactician is going to be HAL 9000, because how are you not going to have a great tactician who's a super fast computer that just happens to be evil as well?
That's interesting.
So really, all HAL is going to do is be able to sit down and figure out every single one of Thanos' moves before he makes his moves, and then how to counteract Thanos' evil with evil computer evilness. My infiltrator, the guy who's going to be doing a whole lot of damage, jumping in, jumping out, doing everything pretty intense, a little bit of snicker snacking it, is going to be Freddy Krueger. Because how are you going to beat
snicker snacking it? Can you please?
Yes.
The judges need to know what that even means. I don't.
It's the whole the whole Wolverine noise from the comics.
Okay.
But I was trying to mislead everyone by thinking it was going to be Wolverine, but I realized that I'm not dealing with that crowd right now.
Okay.
So, anywho, Freddy Krueger, Dream Demon, can become real, he can become real and do a lot of damage. He can get into the brain and to somebody's psyche and do a lot of damage that way. Like, he can just hit Thanos from every single direction. And finally, my heavy, I have the heaviest of heavies coming in to do like the big hits, can send Thanos flying, turn him into dust, abracadabra in him, and it's going to be Lord Voldemort. And those are my choices.
Well, you got one of them right.
Yeah. Maybe one.
Which one? The one that was beaten by kids like 9 times in a row? That one? Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one that I put in my team.
We can't speak his name. Why can't we? Because he's such a bitch. How the little kids beat him every time he even comes up. All right.
I took the assignment seriously and actually had an actual story where all 4 people worked together
Oh my gosh.
as a team in order to take Thanos down.
Wait, I just described how my team works together.
Barely.
What?
Okay, Troy.
Let me show you how it's done, John.
Oh boy, here we go.
So in my story, Thanos is going to be walking along and he's going to run into this little tiny creature called Gollum. And because Thanos has this philosophy kind of thinker, he's really intrigued by this tiny creature and his battle between Smeagol and Gollum. And so he follows Gollum into a cave where he runs into 1955's Biff Tannen, who is such a bad line deliverer that Thanos just gets bored to tears with how Biff is talking to him. And so as he just gets more just disgusted and repelled by Biff, and he gets so bored with it, he actually falls to sleep. And so while he's sleeping, he runs into Freddy Krueger, who is coming and chasing after him in his sleep with, in his hand, the Infinity Gauntlet modified with razor blades, which then causes Thanos to panic because he realizes he doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet anymore and he can't accomplish his mission. Eventually, he does finally wake up and escapes Freddy Krueger, but because he's so scared when he wakes up, Pennywise the clown is standing over him and eats him and his fear. Thanos is dead on the spot.
I have to give it to him. He is very creative with his use of characters.
Yeah, he even got Biff Tannen in here.
I know. That's actually funny.
I don't know. This is sounding like he's earning his own like golden box of flies right now.
That sounded like a compliment from the guy I'm about to beat.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So, Thunderbolts. What, John? Who's your team again?
My team is HAL 9000, Emperor Palpatine, Freddy Krueger, and Lord Voldemort.
Okay.
And mine was Gollum, 1955's Biff Tannen, Freddy Krueger, and Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
All right, Amanda, who do you pick?
I'm going to go with Troy's team. I really did. I did not think that I would buy into most of those characters to be able to beat Thanos, but I do appreciate the layout of how this story works and how these characters could be beneficial in working together. John also chose Voldemort, though, so I think he deserves some credit.
Honestly, that's the one that's making me go to Troy's team. I don't like Voldemort as a villain. I think he's one of the worst villains in film history. I don't care what everybody else says. I mean, a lot of build-up, and he was beat down by a little kid, or a teenager, sorry. And every year, he was thwarted by these same little kids or his friends. I mean, it just doesn't seem like he's really that badass, honestly. And the nose. What was up with the nose? It's just weird. Other than the fact, That's really all I got out of him. That's not scary. I'm going to go with Troy because he really did think it out. He's got the whole plan. He's got a plan. Not much like the A team. It's going to go to shit, but it's a better one to go up against my team.
He is banking on a lot of things happening exactly. Like, if he doesn't find Gollum intriguing at all, this whole plan goes to shit.
But John, I do like your team. I like both you and Amanda's teams, but neither one of them made it to the final round. So here we go.
So we didn't like them enough.
Right.
All right. So
losers.
This is the finals. My team versus Troy's team.
Oh, it's like old times. Team Troy, Team Aaron.
My team is Dr. Manhattan, General Zod from Man of Steel, Sauron, and Palpatine. Versus Troy.
I had Gollum, 1955's Biff Tannen, Freddy Krueger with the modified Infinity Gauntlet, and Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Okay. John, who is your vote?
You know, I'm going to make this a spiteful decision.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I feel like I've been abandoned. I don't even understand how my team lost to this team, but I'm going to make it so that Troy's team is the one I'm giving my decision to, because it's like just so insane to think his team can win. But Troy, for whatever reason, is actually really good with these insane off the wall theories that they end up actually working.
That's a Blacklist reference for all you folks who don't understand it.
Amanda?
I'm going to start to split the vote. I'm going to go with Aaron's team. He had one of my characters who I believe is an incredible feat to have on your team, but he also has some really good evil people who are somehow eviler than Thanos. I don't think that's a word, but it is in my book now. And I do believe that they could, if they had a common unified purpose for defeating Thanos, that they could sort of work together. But I still think Troy's story was much better than yours.
Troy, who do you think is going to win between your team and my team?
Well, I mean, your team is stacked, but as we know from the NBA this year, a stacked team doesn't technically make it to the finals. A team that actually works together wins, like the Milwaukee Bucks, which is my hometown.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I think from that perspective, you might have all the power, but Thanos just snaps his finger and wipes you guys all out. So
I know that you're in HR, but
anyway.
have you considered sales?
I actually did sales for many years.
Well,
I think in fairness, we can't really vote for ourselves. I think in true Thanos fashion, right? 50% live, 50% dive. So I think we have to pick a number between 1 and 100.
Nope, we're not doing that.
Closer gets the win.
I'm going with my team. We're gonna phone a friend. We're gonna do this.
Who are we phoning?
We're calling Tyler Seaver.
Oh.
Here we go.
Is this fair if he's one of your best friends?
Hello.
Hey, Tyler, you're on a podcast right now. I'm just letting you know. Yeah.
Good thing I didn't say anything bad.
Can you guys hear him okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear fine.
Okay, so we have a question and we need a deciding vote. Are you ready?
Oh, shoot. All right, let's go.
Okay, so here's the setup. Each of us had to pick a team consisting of 4 villain characters. There was only 4, so basically our own Suicide Squads to save the world from Thanos. You understand?
Okay.
Okay, so here's my team versus Troy's team. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. Here is Amanda. Just do it in any order because I don't want him to know which team is my team and which team is Troy's team. So put it that way.
Can you hear Amanda say the team?
Oh, he can't hear Amanda. Okay.
That does put a damper on things.
Just say team 1 and team 2.
Team 1 and team 2. Okay, I'm not going to tell you which team is which. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So team 1, these villains: Gollum, Biff Tannen, Freddy Krueger, and Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
I feel like you should read the story, though.
Okay, well, I should read the story. The story is Thanos would be intrigued by the creature's plight and his internal battle. He would be lured into following him into a cave where Biff Tannen waits to bore Thanos because he's dumb as a box of rocks, and he eventually falls asleep. Freddy Krueger haunts him in his dreams, terrified for his life. He runs since Freddy has the gauntlet instead of him because he switched it, manages to escape and wake up. But ill from fear from his nightmares and not able to check his wrist for the gauntlet, he wakes up to see Pennywise is there who finishes the job. Okay, that's the setup for that one.
Okay.
The other one has less setup and just just the players. Okay, so the villains in the other team are Dr. Manhattan, General Zod from Man of Steel, Sauron from Lord of the Rings, and Emperor Palpatine. Which of those two teams would be the best to defeat Thanos?
Team 2 sounds more believable, but Team 1, just because Biff Tannen. Who the hell is
You son of a bitch.
Sorry, Aaron.
All right. Well, we're done with you.
Glad I could help.
Yes. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your service.
No problem.
All right. Take care.
All right, later.
Bye.
Bye.
Damn it, Troy. Damn it.
It's the stupid story. It's so clever that
We're
it
doomed.
somehow works.
We just lost 50% of the population. I promise you we did. Biff Tannen will ruin
I
it.
think it bumped up to 75% because this was so ridiculous.
I think he's going to take more people out. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the winner is Troy's team. Troy, that's Gollum, Biff Tannen, Freddy Krueger, and Pennywise. That's who we're charging to save us all. Jesus. All right. Well, we asked listeners what they thought, so they threw some teams out there. You guys ready to hear some of their picks for who the? I'm only
Ooh,
gonna
I can't
throw a couple
wait.
of them.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Andreas, I can never say his name right. Andreas says The Nothing from Neverending Story.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's it. That's all he's got. He's got nothing else.
That's his whole team.
That's his
He's
whole
like,
team.
that's all I need.
I like that.
It really is all you need.
Stefan Smitterbeck, King Shark, Darth Vader, Eugene Toombs from X-Files. I like that. And Brightburn. Interesting.
Okay.
Adam Smith says T-1000, Voldemort, Darth Vader, General Zod.
I'm surprised nobody in here said Darth Vader.
Here's a couple. Scott Calgaro said Magneto,
Oh, that's a good one.
Hela, Sauron, and Kronos.
That's a really good team. I
That's a
like
good team.
that.
And Brian Lowry, Magneto, Pinhead.
Pinhead.
Sorry.
Pinhead.
Yeah, it's not Pinehead. Why is there an E? I can't take you seriously anymore. Leatherface and Evil Ash. No, your team's dead. I don't know what to tell you on that
Yeah,
one.
those are a lot of hands-on killers.
Nate Bruce, Homelander, Freddy, Voldemort, and Magneto.
Homelander's a good one. Why didn't I think of that?
That's true. I kind of wish I would have thought of that. Josh
God,
Steinle.
if you would have gotten rid of like Deadpool and had Homeland.
Yeah, I should have done a swap out for Deadpool for Homelander. Because he is evil. He is so evil, and he
If
can
you swapped
kill.
out Deadpool for Magneto, you would have won for sure.
I know. I thought about Magneto, honestly. I really did. And I was like, well, maybe not. And I was also going to try to find a way to throw Storm in there, but she's too good to be.
Magneto can manipulate metal. I just don't think that's as sexy as... I don't think that's going to do anything. He hasn't won in any of the movies. So why is he the guy that you think is going to be a good candidate?
Matter of fact, the only time he's won is when he was a hero.
Thank you. He's too selfish, and so basically every time he tries to do, he just basically abandons. He won't work as a team. Are you kidding?
He
He's
can
worst villain ever.
manipulate metal. What do you think what do you think Thanos' glove is made out of?
I don't
The
know.
Infinity Gauntlet.
We
Metal.
don't know. No, it's not.
Gold.
Some
Space dust.
Space dust. Yeah, we
mineral
don't know.
that we don't know if
He
it's magnetic or
he
not.
can still alter any sort of force field, so he could modify, I think, whatever it would be.
I think we're just.
It has to be metal.
Yeah, I think we're reading into it
No.
because it is metal.
Yeah.
No, it's metal.
It's metal.
It's not only metal.
It is only metal.
He can summon and bring forward force fields and use that to manipulate things.
He has not
He
done
can
that
change magnetic
in any
fields.
movies.
Oh,
So
I forgot the stupid movies.
That's what we're going off of. Last one, Josh Steinle. Freddy, Voldemort, Xenomorph Queen from Aliens, and Magneto.
Why is Freddy so incredibly popular?
Dreams, man. Gets in the dreams.
Dreams.
I've
Yeah.
never seen Thanos sleep, ever.
Well, he's never had Biff Tannen near him, apparently, because that's the magic right there. That's the sexy.
Does Thanos sleep? I feel like we need an answer to this.
He does after the snap when he can sit on his paradise island.
Yeah, where he's all like, you know.
Yeah, that's a great spot-on impression, by the way. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I saw the movie twice.
All right, let's go to our upcoming releases and recommendations.
All right, so up first we have Free Guy, only in theaters. A bank teller discovers that he is actually an NPC inside a brutal open-world video game. This is directed by Sean Levy and stars Ryan Reynolds, Jodie Comer, and Taika Waititi.
Don't worry, Ryan. I didn't slight you. It was just John.
He's not listening, Amanda, I promise you.
Well.
He's doing a promotional tour for Free Guy right now.
Well, hello.
I don't care about Ryan. I'm in it for Jody. Don't Breathe 2 comes to theaters also on August 13th. And the sequel is set in the years following the initial deadly home invasion, where Norman Nordstrom, played by Stephen Lang, lives in quiet solace until his past sins catch up with him. It's again written by Fede Alvarez and Rodo Mendez, and directed by Rodo Mendez again for the second outing.
He didn't direct the first one.
Oh, he didn't direct it? I thought he did direct the first one.
Fede Alvarez directed the first one.
Oh, Fede directed the first one. All right.
Swan Song, which is coming to VOD and is a film that Aaron got to see at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, is about a retired hairdresser who escapes his nursing home and embarks on an odyssey across his small town to style a dead woman's hair for her funeral, confronting the ghosts of his past and rediscovering his sparkle along the way. It
stars Udo
like
Kier, and it's really good. It's really sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Directed by Todd Stevens. And then we also have Naked Singularity, which is coming to VOD. And that is about an idealistic young New York City public defender burned out by the system, on the brink of disbarment, and seeing signs of the universe collapsing all around him, decides to rob a multi-million-dollar drug deal of one of his clients. Sounds like a bad decision.
Go for it, man. See what happens. Take a chance. All right. Any recent film or TV recommendations not previously talked about? John, Troy, Amanda, any of you?
We've been checking out Virgin River over on Netflix. It stars Alexandra Breckenridge, who most people probably know as Sophie from This Is Us. Basically, it's the same premise as Heart of Dixie from the CW, but with a more grounded main character than Zoe Hart from that one played by Rachel Bilson. Virgin River follows Melinda Mel Monroe, who answers an ad to work as a midwife and nurse practitioner in the remote Northern California town of Virgin River, thinking it would be the perfect place to start fresh and leave her painful memories behind. But she soon discovers that small town living isn't quite as simple as she expected, and she must learn to heal herself before she can truly make Virgin River her home. There's 3 seasons currently on Netflix.
Aaron and John, are you guys tired of hearing about this show?
Yeah, definitely am. Yep. Mm-hmm. You'd think there'd be no more virgins left in this river. By now it'd just be like Nympho River.
And honestly, nobody's a virgin in this show. Like, they even touch on these teenagers who have sex.
I don't want to deal with a show that lies to me from the beginning.
Honestly, Troy, do you have an understanding of why this town is called Virgin River? Because it's obviously not real. Not a real town.
But the episode I watched the other night was they were like in the bath having, makeup, talky sex or whatever. And then the house starts on fire. It's like, how do you go from being in the bath and then the house goes on fire? Like, how does that, it's just.
Is there a river?
There's more to it. Yes, there is a river.
Has it never been penetrated by other people?
I don't know.
Dr. Manhattan hasn't been there yet.
That was hilarious.
I'm just wondering, is this like the new Dawson's Creek, or is it more adult than that?
It's more adult. Gotcha. It's not CW-esque with the pretty people.
Okay.
Yeah, I will throw in 2 things. One, there's a documentary on HBO Max, Betrayal at Attica, which revolves around the Attica prison rebellion and the 39 citizens that lost their lives as part of that in 1971. It's tragic. It's definitely worth a watch. And that's on HBO Max, Betrayal at Attica. But the documentary that I will say is probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in the longest of times is Val, which revolves around Val Kilmer. And if you didn't know, he's been struggling with throat cancer for the last few years, and he has he's had throat surgery, so he can barely talk. He's still functional. It's just unfortunately he can't talk anymore. And so what he did was he put together a documentary where he released previously never before seen footage, because he's been filming his entire life for the last 30 years. He's just been filming different moments since he was a kid. And it puts together this collection of his life up until this point. And it goes through many of his famous movies, absolutely, but it's really about his life and his accomplishments as an actor, his heartbreak as an actor, his pursuit of creativity, kind of talking to kind of his own defense of why he's seen the way that he's seen as a problematic actor sometimes throughout the years, and how he feels about it, his side of that story to a degree. And it's narrated primarily by his son, Jack, who sounds just like him. It's almost uncanny. I mean, as you're listening to it, it's like, are you sure it's not Val Kilmer? Like, did you narrate this before your throat surgery? I don't know. But it's beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's genuine. It's honest. And, well, some of the more salacious details about like his divorce or his, some of how people perceived him as an actor, he doesn't go too much into that stuff. It's really more about his journey as an actor, but some of that stuff is touched on. But it's just a beautiful representation of an actor that I think a lot of people really loved or have fond memories of, especially if you were an 80s or 90s kid. And to actually understand where his life has gone, it's something to watch. And there's one scene in particular, like I've always wondered what it feels like for an actor who is on the opposite side of fame, right? What it feels like for them to be in those Comic-Con lines, to be in those assembly halls of signatures where they're just basically just people are lined up just to get their signature. They're saying the same thing, like, all the famous Batman quotes or Tombstone quotes or whatever it is. I'm your Huckleberry, stuff like that. What it's like for them to go through that. And you really get a real representation of that. And him with his illness, it's even harder, I think, to watch. It's a beautiful movie. It's on Amazon Prime, so you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to pay for it. Amazon Prime, it's called Val. And I think everybody should really check that out. I think if you love movies, if you love actors, if you love acting, it's a beautiful story to watch.
I just want to add in that the Fantasia Film Festival is going on through August 25th. Aaron and I are screening some of the films that are premiering there, but you can buy tickets to watch it online. If you're in Canada, you can also go to some of the in-person screenings that they have. But if you're into genre films, that's a really cool festival, and we'll be talking about it on an episode in the future.
All right. Now, before we go to Suicide Squad, we've got one more little game, and that's Movie Manners. Troy, you get to talk about any specific movie watching pet peeve in theaters or at home that you want to. Let's talk about it.
Well, the one thing that really pisses me off is when you have a piece of art that someone has spent a lot of time putting together. And it's not just one person, but a whole team of people that make television and movies happen. Mm-hmm. And so when they put up the movie or the TV show and they watch it on their mobile device and then go do something else, I cannot stand it for the life of me that they can't just sit down and watch the actual show.
Give me an example.
They have to be.
Tell me give me an example of what you're talking
like
your
just
kids?
an episode of Ted Lasso, right? You got Ted Lasso on your iPad, and then you have to be like doing the laundry or doing the dishes or like checking your phone or doing something else. It's like, just sit down and watch the 23-minute episode and enjoy it for what it is, because you can't experience the show if you're doing two things at once.
Absolutely.
It just drives me crazy to no end.
I 100% am with you on that. I can't stand, and especially when they want to give you their opinion or review of what they just watched, when you know for a fact they didn't actually watch it. They were checking their phone, they were doing other stuff, blah, 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 blah. No, you didn't. You have no value here. Your opinion is moot.
Yeah, so
I'm with you.
People that put their craft and time and art into a piece of art, you should show it its respect and enjoy the entire art for what it is.
Amanda and John have no feelings because they obviously are people that do this all the time.
I was trying not to say anything.
Called out.
I am
That's
sometimes
why.
really good at watching and just enjoying. But I have to have something to do if I'm at home. This is why I like going to the theater, because then I don't feel fidgety, because I don't know why, honestly, but I am just so much more engaged with movies at the theater. When I'm at home, I'm like, oh, I can do a jigsaw puzzle, or I can...
Wait, who's paying attention to anything with the jigs? This makes sense now, why you're like, Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, you didn't know that. You were doing a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I could clip my cuticles, or, just like I'll look at the dog a lot. Like, there's just so many more distractions, but I have to have something to do. That's why I'm considering trying to get into like knitting or something like that, just so then my hands are busy, but then my eyes can stay focused. So I do feel called out right now.
It depends on how you want to call me out on this, but I don't feel called out about it, because when it comes to things I'm watching, it comes up in two different categories. Am I watching something that I've watched before and I'm watching it again for either for making me feel better or to just have something on? Then yeah, I'll have my phone close by and I will be checking my phone every now and again. I will never actually watch anything on my phone or my iPad because that's just not the screen for me. I want something on a larger screen, like my television in front of me. But when it comes to watching something new, I've never watched it before, and it's time for me to sit down. My phone is either sitting on the charger in a different room or on the table way away from me, and I'm not paying attention to my phone. I'm just trying to focus on the movie. So I do feel like things that it's my first viewing, I do give it up my all to pay attention to it. But when it's like I'm binging something for comfort food or whatever, I'll have my phone close by.
Well, if you guys are ready, let's go and do Suicide Squad.
Yes. Nom nom.
All right, let's talk about Suicide Squad. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, this is available in theaters or on HBO Max. You can watch it right now. We're going to talk about it very spoilery. So if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend coming back to it later. But I recommend it, so hopefully everybody else does. But we'll find out in a second. We're going to talk about it in a second. This elite team of supervillains is rounded up yet again by none other than steadfast government honcho Amanda Waller. Viola Davis is back to take charge on a mission in the South American island of Corto Maltese. Evil dictators, oddball characters, and a really weird-ass final foe await as our team continues to charge forward, lest be designated as disposable by Waller's callous judgment. It's a really wacky concept. It's wrapped in this narrative that ping-pongs through time, which makes it ripe for riffing under the commendable talents of writer-director James Gunn. Now, he said it's not a sequel. It's a new movie. But it's kind of a sequel, because Joel Kinnaman's back, Margot Robbie's back, Amanda Waller's back, Viola Davis is back. So you have a lot of characters that are returning. You have Boomerang back, and at the same time, you've got a bunch of new characters. You got Idris Elba as Bloodsport, you got Polka Dot Man, you've got Ratcatcher 2, you've got King Shark, Stallone as King Shark. Ayo. So that's great. We got a lot of that. All right, so spoilers are officially open. And I just kind of want to know, what did you think of the idea of this movie being not a sequel, but really kind of a sequel?
Well, I think that trying to call it not a sequel is a little bit laughable because of all the reasons you mentioned. And, they acknowledge that the characters have worked together before. They acknowledge that there's something going on, that this is not a first time for some of them working together. And I think that's laughable because built into the story that this is a sequel.
Yeah, it's weird that he said it's not a sequel. I'm like, it is. I mean, you have the same characters played by the same actors. And yes, you have some new characters. It's basically just another mission for the Suicide Squad. It's different. It's its own thing. You don't have to have seen the first movie to get this. But in the same token, it's still a sequel. You have the same characters. But I guess, it depends on how you look at Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like so many of their movies, they have the same characters pop in and out in other franchises. I guess you could look at it that way. Yeah.
I kind of look at it the same way I would Lethal Weapon. Just like any other sequel from the 80s, the movies may not relate to each other with the exception of the similar characters, but they still count as a sequel. Just because the story doesn't continue from one movie to the next doesn't mean that it's not a sequel. All
right. So what'd you think of the new assortment of characters? I mean, I guess the other characters that we know, we like them already. I mean, Flag is back. He's fine. I never really thought he was exciting. Boomerang's back for 13 seconds, and then he's dead, which I think is funny. They promoted him in the marketing so much, even though it's not a sequel, but it is, just so you could kill him off. Can I ask you real quick, what did you think about that, John? And Amanda is here, and Troy is not. He left. He didn't watch Suicide Squad. He's not a fan, I guess. What did you think of them killing Boomerang right off the bat? Did you feel like that was cheap, or you liked that?
I'm on two camps of that. I thought when it first happened, I looked at it and I go, that's kind of annoying, because I was really hoping to see more of Jai Courtney in that role, because he was one of the better parts of the other movie. At the same time, we got to see him do some really awesome things before he died, and it set the tone for the movie very well. To see that group of characters die in the first 10 minutes of the movie was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. And you could tell, I remember when James Gunn was promoting making the movie, he was talking very much about how don't get attached to anyone. Now, I took that to mean, oh no, don't mess with Harley Quinn. But no, he meant like every other character, literally every other character is going to die.
Harley should not have survived several different things, but yet she came out no problem.
Exactly. So what do you think of the new assortment of characters? I mean, let's take Bloodsport. Did you like Idris Elba's Bloodsport?
I liked him a lot. I liked his power. So his power is very cool, where, you know, he has these modular components on his body that he turns into different types of weapons for whatever different needs he has, which is kind of a take on what his comic book power is, which the comic book power is he's got like this ability of just teleporting any weapon from his personal arsenal that's someplace else hidden right to him. So whereas that's a little bit strange of a power to have, this makes a lot more sense. And it's fun. Idris Elba playing the character, it was very interesting to see, because he does this whole like very tough, very intense action star role, but there's moments where he's moving around and it seems kind of slapsticky, and it's fun.
My only issue with Elba, I think he's having the most fun he's had in a long time in the movies. Like, honestly, I just think he seems like he's having a blast. He feels like the same damn character as Will Smith's Deadshot. Like, literally, it feels like when he got cast, I think originally they were saying he was going to play Deadshot, but then they said, no, I'm playing a different character. I don't want to play Deadshot because Will Smith couldn't do it. And I'm like, well, you basically gave him the same character with the same skills and the same arc. You know, he's trying to impress his daughter. He's trying to win her, he's trying to help her out. He wants, at the end, we've got the daughter finally being proud of dad after he's been a lifelong criminal. He's a crack shot with any weapon, Like, all that stuff is the same character. So to me, it just felt like, well, that was kind of cheap. I didn't like that at all. Even though I loved his character and I had a lot of fun with him and I thought Elba was fantastic, to me, it felt like, well, that's just, are you rubbing it in our face that it's a different character, even though it's the same damn character? I don't understand.
Well, isn't that how the character is in the comics?
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm just saying it's exactly the same arc and character from the first movie.
That's not really an Idris issue, then. That's more
James Gunn issue.
Shouldn't have, yeah.
I'm talking in general with the character.
But I feel like they addressed that when they introduced us to Peacemaker, or Peacekeeper, whatever. Is it Peacemaker or Peacekeeper? Yeah. Peacemaker. So I think they addressed that because they talk about all the reasons why they need to have Deadshot. Sorry.
See, it. Subconsciously, it's the same guy with the same arc.
They explain all the reasons why they need him, and then they bring in Peacemaker, and they read off all his skills, and they're the exact same skills as Idris Elba's character. And why I can't remember his name right now,
I don't know, but you're really struggling with it. It's Peacemaker, John Cena. He's a wrestler. He's, why?
No,
because
the
he's
other
invisible.
one. What is Idris Elba's character's name?
Invisible. You can't see him, and it's really messing you up.
Bloodsport. Bloodshot.
Bloodsport.
Whatever it is.
See, Bloodshot. See, man, it knows too. It's the same guy. It's the same character.
There's just too many words that could work together.
Sure.
Right.
But that aside, Idris Elba was great. I think he was having a blast. Anybody else stand out for you guys of the newer characters, the new guys? Well,
my favorite was Ratcatcher.
Really?
Yeah, I loved her. Daniela Melchior. I don't know how you say her name.
Really? I didn't dislike her. She just was like, okay. I mean, her power was weird.
Her power was super weird, but I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed having her presence on screen. I thought she was a great addition. She was what was memorable to me. I know that there were a lot of people who were sad to see Flag or whatever die, but honestly, I felt like he was such a forgettable character to me.
Yeah.
So it didn't strike me.
Me
I was
too.
just like, okay.
Rick Drag. As soon as he died, I'm like, thank God. Are we done with him now? Like it was never a character that popped for me. Rick Flag was never a character.
I thought he was a lot better in this movie than he was in the first
still
one.
mediocre.
Right. Well, but I think it's kind of hard to sit there and make Rick Flag an interesting character when you have the likes of like Idris Elba just being Idris Elba with guns, and you have John Cena being hysterical, and you have Margot Robbie doing the best incarnation of Harley Quinn on screen that anyone can ask for, and then you have Sylvester Stallone going nom nom. All these things are working against
amazing.
Joel Kinnaman. He's being completely overshadowed.
That's because he's mediocre. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
a better, like, I'm not knocking Kinnaman, but I'm kind of knocking Kinnaman. I just don't find him to be a very energetic fella. Now, you put a different actor in that role, Statham could have played that, and I would have been way more engaged. And he's no more emotional or uplifting than Kinnaman was. I just think some people just carry that kind of weight better, and Kinnaman just doesn't do it for me.
I literally
personally.
can't even remember his character death. Are we in spoilers?
Yeah, as far as
Okay.
you know.
Yes.
I'm like, oh gosh, that'd be really unfortunate if we weren't.
I do think Ratcatcher had some heart, but the power never worked for me. And then the end with the rats and the Starro,
Oh,
that
I liked the
was
rats.
a
at
huge
the end.
whiff and a miss. I'm combining words now for me.
No, I thought she was a lot of the heart of the movie, so I really enjoyed her.
I felt like the movie was,
And her power, I thought was
felt
fun.
like the movie was missing heart. Like that's the only thing I really thought was lacking, because James Gunn is known for even Slither had a lot of underlying heart, and I don't feel like that was here in this movie. Like I just never felt really that emotionally attached to anybody in the movie, and I usually get attached to most of his characters in the movie, so that was kind of a surprise for me. Michael Rooker, I was more attached to him than I was most of the characters in the movie.
I was so surprised they killed them all.
Me too. Me too. And of course, it had to be Waller.
I was really disappointed there wasn't more Nathan Fillion. When you advertise Nathan Fillion, when you get Nathan Fillion, Civilian Pavilion, but you don't get a whole lot of Nathan Fillion, Civilian Pavilion in the movie, it makes you a little sad face.
At the same time, nobody could have pulled that role off better than Nathan
No.
Fillion did.
Absolutely.
Where
I
he's
was
just
like,
I'm badass. He's detached. Was he detached guy? He just throws his arms
Detached
at people
arms,
and he's just
yeah.
slapping them with his arm. I'm like, that is not a power.
The detachable kid is what is the detachable kid is what TDK
What
stands
an
for.
awful power. It's like, you can't even, can you pimp slap him at least? Can you put some stank
That's
on
what
it?
he was doing. He's sitting there and you got his trunk sitting there and he's just like, yeah. And his arms are, 30 yards away from him, slapping people around. And then,
He did that so well.
That was
Oh,
hysterical.
he did that so well.
And then this whole joke about the javelin. I'm like, what do I do? What do I, like, why don't you tell me what to do with the javelin? And then
that
finally
was
at the end of
funny.
the movie, she decides she knows exactly what to do with the javelin.
And it was absolutely unnecessary. It didn't do anything.
Except for create a big opening in the eye
for them
the
to
rats.
swim in. They could have chewed through it, though.
I think they were already chewing through it. I don't really think she opened anything. I think they were already getting in there. They were taking that thing down regardless. But
They all came in through that hole she tore in the
I don't think
eye.
that's accurate.
I don't think the javelin was needed for that. Rats are known for being able to eat through, like, shoes.
Yeah,
I
metal.
think they could eat through film of an eye socket.
eye jizz. I think they can get to
Eye
the
jizz.
eye jizz. Yeah, I really do.
Also, how gross. And then she comes out and her hair is just covered in that, and she just goes about her day.
I love how she's just swimming around, admiring
Yeah,
the
right.
rats eating the eyeball.
That's exactly what she would be doing.
That's true.
now.
It
That is
totally
good,
is. Yeah.
Her, oh man, I'll talk about her, one thing with her in a little bit. But all right, so James Gunn took this wildly divergent swing at a narrative structure. I mean, he is all over time. And I mean, it really felt like a Tarantino movie at times. I'm just like, wow, we were just bouncing all over the place. With, by the way, the best title cards I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Well,
They were so comic book esque
clever.
at the same
Yeah.
time, but being their own thing. Like I really loved what they did with the title cards. But as far as the narrative structure, it was fun for me. But like the person I was watching the movie with, he goes like, "What's going on? Okay, this is 3 days ago. Okay, All right, what's happening now? I thought this guy was dead. Okay, but this is now. What?
I really dug it. Normally I don't like the 3 days earlier setup, where you get some big action and then you go backwards. But it wasn't so much about going back to these characters before. It was going back to the team we're going to meet later. So I really did like that. And I thought the whole thing,
absolutely,
how we just bounced all over the place, was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wasn't fazed by it, so I guess I didn't really put too much thought in how it might affect people negatively because I didn't have a negative experience. And I couldn't agree more about the title cards. It was really clever. Like, I think one of them was using a bunch of fish to create the outline.
Oh, man, they used everything.
Really,
I mean, blood. When Michael Rooker's killed at the beginning, they used blood to just do Warner Brothers pictures and all that stuff, and just everything. Jotunheim or whatever creative. Had the metal from the actual backdrop of other buildings or whatever it was, the remnants of metal that spelled that out. I mean, just everything had its own little design and was pulled from different elements in the film, and I just thought that was really clever. Like usually it's just some Marvel just used the big giant blocky white letters. Blah, boring. I always hate that. I'm like, it just looks like the 80s. This looked great and sharp and imaginative. It was weird that caught my eye so much.
Oh, when they changed the mission, they had the title card for one mission up, and they changed it, and they blew out. When they blew out the other half of it was like save the world, and it was like they blew out the world and put in save Harley Quinn, but the Harley Quinn was in smoke.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was funny.
So good.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, unique and creative, some of the things they did with it. But even though I felt like some characters had heart and depth to them, I would agree to your a little bit earlier comment about how this doesn't have the same level of heart that a James Gunn movie normally would. Like, I fully expected to tear up a little bit, and I didn't have one of those moments.
I mean, the closest I came was King Shark wandering around by himself, and everybody just keeps leaving him. I think that was probably the closest I got to a real emotional moment. I'm like,
he was
so
eating,
sad.
though.
He was what?
He was. Are you talking about when he was eating the head?
No, I'm talking about when they're putting up plastic explosives and Peacemaker's like having a nice conversation with him. And then they're all like, well, we got to do other things. And then he just turns around. They're all already gone. Like, God damn, man, open a door. He's got big hands.
Yeah. And he finds the jellyfish, and the jellyfish end up trying to eat him.
So funny.
Okay, I lied. I think he might be my favorite character, but Ratcatcher 2 is a close second.
Num num.
He was just so funny.
Num num. Num num. Num. It was so weird hearing Sylvester Stallone because at no point did I feel like he was animating his voice. He was just being Sylvester Stallone.
I didn't feel like it was Sylvester Stallone though either. Like really? At no point was I like, this is like heavily Stallone. Like, I don't get that. I felt I don't know, he seemed like a doofy shark.
It fit the character for sure.
And
I'm like, I could voice King Shark. I really could. I think I could have done this if he wasn't available. I'm going to make my pitch for the spinoff.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I really love the Harley Quinn moment. This is probably my favorite moment in the whole movie. Well, second favorite moment. It's my favorite Harley Quinn moment when she breaks out of the prison and then she's willing to go right back in simply because the guys were coming to save her and she thought that was so sweet. For twofold. One, I love the fact that they just showed she doesn't need them. Like, she'll be fine on her own. She always is. She's just fine. And two, but she really likes that they're willing to go for it. So she'll go in. I think if there were still people alive, she would go in and let them take her captive again, just so she could be rescued, just because it was so sweet. Oh, and how she killed the guy. That was so fun. That was so fun.
When she was hanging?
I just made a promise that when someone starts to cross a line, I just have to kill them.
Yeah, that moment was so good. No, the hanging moment, that was fantastic.
That was super cool.
Margot Robbie actually did that. And James Gunn said that she actually does that stunt. So when she's taking the key and she's taking it out and she twists the lock with her foot, that's actually Margot Robbie. She actually did that. But because of the way it was shot and stuff, you don't see that. And what he said was, it was too bad that her face was obstructed because people are going to think it's like a stunt double when it's actually her. So that's why he's telling everybody she did that. That was all her. She's almost like a ballerina with those moves.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Just made her Like, is there anything wrong with her? I don't think so. I think she's probably perfect.
I don't know that these movies would be anything without her character for me. Like, she truly is the glue for the whole movie.
Me too. Every time she was gone, I'm like, when's she coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's so fun and charismatic, and her character is so well defined.
And a little over the top and homicidal and crazy.
I do love that how they, instead of having blood splatter everywhere, it was flowers.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like a throwback to like Mary Poppins or something. I'm like, is she having a Mary Poppins moment? What the hell is going on?
Well, they did it in her movie, so it was like a reference, I felt like, to that. At least it was connecting the dots to her solo movie.
It's just how she is. She sees the world a certain way.
Colorful.
Yeah, very, very colorful. And yeah, so good. And if you notice that whole escape, like she kills people in each room a completely different way. And I thought that was really fun. Like it was really an interesting way to do it. But
yeah.
My favorite scene in the whole movie is when Peacemaker and Bloodsport are having their kill-a-thon. Like, who's the best killer?
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention that.
Oh, my God. When they're each taking turns and they're just trying to one-up each other as they kill all of the rebels.
And they keep on making rude gestures at one another.
Yep. That was really funny. Until they get to the end and they're like, why didn't any of my people tell me that you were here? And it's like, uh-oh.
We didn't see anybody. So funny.
And then they have the nerve to ask her for a favor, like, sorry, we just slaughtered your entire village, but can you help us?
That's one of the best moments for Flag, where he's looking at them like, are you guys freaking kidding me right now? And then he looks at her going, look, these guys are idiots, but they're really good at what they do.
And then when they get taken into the club and when they got caught prisoner, and I'm just like, well, how are they getting out of this one? And they're basically explaining it to him. He's like, hey, there's a one-hit kill, and it's almost like the Bruce Willis moment in Last Boy Scout, right? Where he's like, touch me again, I'll kill you with one hit. And then they all three do it because only professionals know how to do this move. I thought that was a nice touch. That was just clever. That was good. Because they all three knew it because they're all badasses.
Right.
That was good. All right. So how about the villain of this real villain showdown? Starro. What did you think, be honest, of Starro, the giant starfish that threw his all over everybody?
I'll go ahead and I'll dive in on this. I think this choice of a villain just goes to show you that James kind of understands that the villains aren't really as important as people would like to think they are, especially when you're doing a movie that is primarily bad people trying to do good things. You don't see Starro. You don't understand what the whole story behind Starro is until the last few minutes of the whole movie, and just strictly using this character is just really brave for James Gunn to choose him, and for Warner Bros. To be okay because of just how much of a lunatic of an idea Starro is. Like there's DC cartoons that won't actually use full-fledged Starro anymore, but they'll use like, we have this technology that we found from an alien, and they'll sort of hint at Starro, and it has all the same Starro abilities, but they won't even bring him up because it'll be too weird and cartoonish. Whereas this was just, I think it was perfect and it was good, and I really appreciated him using it, which people don't understand. Starro is an iconic DC monster.
Doesn't make him any less lame here, my opinion.
Yeah, I laughed when I saw him. Yeah. Come on.
Same here. Yeah.
And then when he squirted out his little mini ones, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the moment that shook me, and I didn't connect it until much later, is when King Shark is like, the water breaks and he's like playing with them and he's like, friends, because he sees the little starfish or the little fish or whatever, and they happen to also have that like killer mouth thing that all of the mini Starros have. And I was like, oh God, this is gonna get dark. And so that kind of kicked it off for me, because I felt like they were so cute and sweet and innocent, and like what I had actually said is, oh, they have little dresses, because it looked like they were wearing a little dress. And then they start eating him. But when the big Starro came out, I I just feel like it looks so ridiculous. It reminds me of the little star from, is it Mario or one of those games? And that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, my wife cackled. The whole audience had to hear her cackle at the highest decibel. It was, and I was right there with. I'm like, that is ridiculous. And when the little stars are flying out, I'm like, oh, he sharded. It was just like not a very cool look. I just think maybe he overshot this one. I think Gunn kind of overshot this one. Like I think the third act is a little weak because of that whole part of it. I like the idea of it, but Starro running around, Stay Puft Marshmallowing everything just didn't work for me at all. And the rats taking it down was just kind of, okay, I feel like it should have been a Suicide Squad takedown. And I know that that's her power, but it's still kind of a lame, weird power. There's so many rats, man. Obviously, everybody should be happy that this place is destroyed because they should move. It's very uncomfortable.
You know, I'll add this, though, in terms of Starro as the villain, it oddly felt like it fit because the whole movie had like really quirky sorts of characters and moments and you know, you have a walking shark, you have a bunch of rats that come out and that's a superpower, and then you have this giant starfish, and I felt like the oddity of all of that is like, okay, it makes sense in this super weird movie that they would have a giant starfish that's going to eat everything.
Oh, you can't forget Polka Dot Man.
Oh, yeah, don't leave out Polka Dot Man.
Yeah,
and Milton.
I was going to bring up, we can leave out Milton. I think it's...
Everybody else forgot about Milton.
I do love the end where Holly's like, "You're Milton," and Idris Elba's like, "No, I'm Bloodsport." She's like, "Milton, we talked about. We had a whole conversation about that. Was such
that was hilarious."
But Polka Dot Man, did you love?
I've been enjoying everyone pointing out how, like in the posters with the silhouettes, Milton is actually one of the silhouettes.
I had no idea.
That was great. That was funny. You liked Polka Dot Man then?
No, I did like Polka Dot Man. I thought he was a quirky and different kind of character,
fun.
But at the same time, I thought he was so much fun as far as his power was interesting and different. It wasn't something that you've seen before, and then his need to expel the polka dots every so often was kind of interesting and fun.
His mommy representations of his psyche, I thought that was just so clever. That was so clever. Yeah. I'm like, I got mommy issues. Everybody I see is my mom, and when he's dancing on the dance floor, and he's like, he starts grossing himself out because now he realizes these are all my mom.
Yeah,
so weird.
The giant Starro is his giant mom.
Exactly. I'm a superhero.
Yeah.
All right, so there's some real stakes here. Speaking of Polka Dot Man, I mean, and the film is heavily rated R. We got Plague dead. We got Boomerang dead. We got Polka Dot Man dead. The whole opening team, except Harley and Weasel, are actually dead because Weasel makes it in case you missed it. I mean, are you glad that we had a movie with some real stakes, or is it just way over the top?
I'm not sure that I cared about the stakes. It just, because this movie was so weird and funny, and that's what I was focusing on, I didn't take it so seriously in terms of that story and making sure that it works in those ways. I feel like in movies where they take it more seriously and all the characters are more serious, then I'm going to consider the stakes as more important. For this, I don't know, I just was having an entertaining time, and that just isn't as important to me.
I love the fact that they messed with us a bit at the beginning, introducing us to a bunch of characters, making us like them for a few seconds, and then squashing them. That really made the movie a lot of fun and really set the pace and the tone for what we were going to be sitting for. And it was something that I needed for a comic book movie to do something like that, to challenge me, and I appreciate it.
Now, you know what I found funny is a lot of people were proclaiming this is so fantastic, and it just mopped the floor with Suicide Squad 1 and made that one disappear. And I just want to point out, like, the cinema score rating, which is basically when audiences are polled after they leave theaters on what they thought of the movie, was the exact same for this one as the first one. Does that surprise you guys? Because I got to be honest, I kind of like the first one. I'm not ashamed to say it. but apparently it's a shameful thing to admit. But it's the same cinema score across the board. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't really surprise me too much. I thought because the first one was such a new concept because nobody has done that yet, where they gave the villains a front row seat to the action and made them the star of something. I liked David Ayer's movie. I feel like it's obvious, especially after watching so many different DC things where there's a lot of meddling from executives who don't understand how these movies are supposed to work, taking like the Justice League versus Zack Snyder's League, that sort of thing kind of leads me to believe that there might be something about it, the Ayer cut, that might be worth sitting down for, even though I don't know if I'm interested in seeing it, but
I'm not.
I'm kind of tempted.
The producer of that came out and said the test screenings were exactly the same for Ayer's cut and the studio cut, which, I mean, it's still completely different movies, what he said, but the test screenings went the same. I just find that interesting. I'm like, so one didn't really blow out the other. So why not go with the director's vision, the first time? But whatever.
There's way too much meddling on the Warner Brothers side of things. I wish they would back off a bit.
Yeah, and a lot of people were talking about, like, this had a muted opening and opened to like 26 million, and they were hoping for like over 30. Keep in mind, we got the variants popping up again. This was free on HBO Max if you had HBO Max. So, I mean, it's rated R. There's a lot of factors involved as to why it's not doing so well. I really feel like when you don't have something that's an exclusive, that's going to happen, I think, unfortunately. But it's still going to do fine. James Gunn will be fine. He's going to do another Guardians of the Galaxy. He's going to do something else for DC, they said, down the road. Any other thoughts on the production aspect or the music? There's a great soundtrack here. Any thoughts on either one of those before we move on?
Oh my God, I want to sit down and listen to the soundtrack forever. Like, this is something that James Gunn is obviously really good at, is choosing or having good help as far as choosing a great soundtrack.
I feel like that's one of the most notable aspects of a James Gunn film. I know, Aaron, you were talking about the heart being kind of one of his staples. I feel like the music is a staple. Like, it is not a great James Gunn film if it doesn't have this amazing soundtrack, because there are always these different songs that are not just the most popular to use, or there's a lot of songs that are used in many movies, probably because they have cheap rights or something. But his selection, or whomever curates the film's music, has such a versatile range of what kind of music they're going to grab. And it really sets the stage for the film. And it's just something that I want to jam out to in my car.
I like the first Suicide Squad soundtrack better. But
I mean, this is still a great soundtrack.
No, it's still a great soundtrack. Absolutely. It's funny to me. I mean, both films had soundtracks that were great.
That first one is very much a soundtrack where you can use it to get pumped up, but you can get into a fight listening to that first one.
Every time I start punching people. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I don't blame you. This one was more relaxed and had more feeling to it than the first one did. But whereas that first one is really good. It's like a great pump CD where it's all highs, no lows.
Good point. Anything else didn't work for you? I already talked about the heart thing. It didn't work for me, and we talked about Starro. Anything else didn't work, or move on? Okay, we're moving on.
Everything kind of worked for me, so yeah, I'm
Favorite
fine.
moments or quotes we haven't already talked about. John, you said everything worked for you. What was your favorite part if we haven't already talked about it?
God, I think we covered the most, but the thing that sticks out in my mind, the absolute most, is that smart ass off between Bloodsport and Peacemaker when they're killing off all the rebels. There was just something about that whole scene. It gave John Cena a chance to really shine, which he was doing really well in this movie. But that scene in particular gave him so much chance to shine and be his own character. And I can't wait to actually see his show when it comes out.
And I did really like when he's at that rebel camp and they're killing everybody. He does that move where he jumps to the roof, and he did it very fluidly. Like, I feel like a guy that size, I was really shocked he was that fluid and that smooth of motion to get on top of there and then, just quietly move forward. I just thought it was really well done or choreographed, whatever. I mean, him and Margot Robbie could apparently teach everybody else how to do shit right in action movies. Were you guys surprised that he was kind of on Waller's payroll to I wouldn't even call it double crossing. I mean, he's just making sure that the mission is accomplished.
Not at all. When he changed over like that, and to make sure that that was his mission, to make sure that stuff didn't get out, it made sense. It especially made sense for the character, because that character lives in a world of there's only black and white, and it's not that there's gray at all. He's fine of living in the black to make sure the white gets to move forward.
Back to favorite moments, there's a couple that were mentioned already, especially the moment with Harley when she sees them trying to break in to help her. I just love that moment when she's all happy about it. But I was incredibly shocked at the full frontal. I fully did not expect to see that.
I couldn't see the forest through the trees.
I was shook. We had to rewind it because I was like, did I see what I think I just saw? Or am I missing that? Like, am I seeing that? Then my favorite part in the entire movie, and I don't know if I'm alone, but I just died laughing. I watched this like 3 different times. It's when Viola Davis's character is starting to get really annoying and she just wants everybody dead. And the lady hits her over the head and she goes, "Get on the satellite, Dale, you fucking dickhead." Like, Dale, move your shit. It was so funny to me.
That part was great, but the only thing I can think about that entire time was all these people are dead, because as soon as she wakes up, she's going to blow every single one of them away, which is what she did in the first movie.
But she didn't do that here. Like, they're all alive at the end.
No, she didn't. She didn't. But like at the same time, if there was carrying over anything from that first movie, all those people would be dead.
Worth it.
I love rain. It's like angels jizzing all over everybody.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, certainly Aaron and I have been surrounded by thunderstorms the last couple of days. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm seeing the rain now, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable walking in it.
I'm not. I run through it. I slide.
Okay.
I flash dance that.
Oh,
all right,
my.
so let's move on to score. Or unless there's anything. I do want to say John Cena's getting a spinoff. He's getting Peacemaker, the show. It's like a series on HBO Max. Is anybody excited about that? Because I got to be perfectly honest. I like John Cena in this. I thought he was good in this. I always find him better in small doses. I just don't think he's a leading man.
I would agree with you. I was not overly impressed with his character, with his performance. I think he still did a fine job, but he's just not somebody that I want to watch an entire TV show or movie about with him as the lead. To your point, he's just not the leading man for me.
I'll be the voice of dissension. I want to see it.
You can't even remember what his name is.
No, it's Bloodsport that I had trouble with. John
you
Cena.
had trouble with
It was
Peacemaker,
literally
too.
Peacemaker. You said Peacemaker,
No, it was literally
No.
Bloodsport.
Play
John,
it
I could play the
said
tape
Bloodshot.
back for you, and I promise you it is Peacemaker. It was
You had
Peacemaker.
a problem
No,
with
it wasn't
both.
Peacemaker.
Okay,
No, I didn't have a
guess
problem
what?
with
Because I
both.
almost said to you, think of Pacemaker, but add an E. And then I was like, that's
Because
not
you
gonna
guys were
help.
assuming I meant Peacemaker, but I was asking about
No.
Idris Elba's
I can't
character.
wait
I kept on
because
saying,
I was
what the
going to
hell's-
edit it so you sounded better, but now I'm going to leave it in so you sound like an idiot because that's what you deserve.
So leave it in. I don't care. I know what I said.
You're so
Oh, my.
wrong. Boy, you're wrong.
Remember, next time you head to the theater, buy popcorn.
So why do you want to see
For
a
this.
Peacemaker show if you can remember what the name is?
A what show?
Exactly. Why do you want to see it?
Because I thought he was great. I thought he was fun. And I want to see what they put him up against, because he's one of those characters where what will make him more interesting is how he interacts with the characters around him. So I want to see him have that shot.
Okay. I think I already spoke to it, but I don't know if there's any other characters I would want a whole show focused around anyway. Maybe Bloodsport, but Idris Elba's not going to do it. He's got too many
Harley.
other things going on. Who?
Harley Quinn. I'd watch a
Harley.
show with Margot Robbie.
Well, I'm
starring.
saying like the major ones. I don't think they're going to do a show because
Oh.
it's kind of like how Marvel has been, right? Like it's going to be the B character. It's not going to be the A list. It's going to be the B character, which is what Peacemaker is.
I would watch a TV show about King Shark just going, bird.
Really? You really think
Yes.
it would be a fantastic run?
If it was a short, like 6-episode thing where he was like going in the ocean and like fighting with different characters,
He joins
and then he goes on the
Aquaman.
land. Yeah, he fights Aquaman. I don't know. I think I would enjoy it. It was funny character.
Oh my God. Jesus. All right. Well, if $10 full price of admission, what do you give Suicide Squad, John?
$7.50.
Amanda.
$7.
Yep, $7 across the board. So there we go. All right. Anything more
Well,
to
not
say?
across the board. John gave it an extra 50 cents. Don't discount his 50 cents.
I just ignore his 50 cents because I figured that's what it costs him to be wrong.
Oh my God.
Do you guys want to see another Suicide Squad, or you feel like this is ran its course at this point?
If it's like this, I'm down. I want to see another one.
I really enjoy the characters enough to be down for another movie, but I'm really starting to just not care about Viola Davis's whole story, her character's story. I
What?
love Viola Davis as
She's
an actress,
great.
but like she got so, I don't know, mega in this where she's like, "Rah, let's kill everybody."
That's her
And I was
character.
like,
That's her
That's literally
character.
the
I know, but
character.
it's just I'm over it. I'm tired of it. That's where I'm at with it because it's so over the top.
Well, then don't ever join the military because you'd be surprised.
I'm not,
How
and
close
I
that is.
definitely wouldn't. We all know I would die.
This is true. All right. Well, remember, everybody, that's it for this show. I'm going next week, so whatever happens, it's on them. I got nothing to do with it. And remember, the next time you head to a theater, buy popcorn.